Hi, and welcome to More Human, More Resources, the HR podcast for entrepreneurs. I'm Vicki Brown, your host and CEO of Idomeneo Enterprises. As a serial entrepreneur, I understand that having the right expert help has been critical to my success. That's why I'm dedicated to telling you, in plain language, what's going on in the world of HR that might impact your business and what you need to do about it, with real actionable tips to help you master that list of must-dos and grow your leadership muscle. First things first, the information contained in this podcast is provided for general purposes only and is not to be considered legal advice. Your decision to adopt or not adopt any practice or procedure mentioned in this podcast is solely yours, and we bear no responsibility for the outcome. We urge you to always consult legal counsel and other appropriate licensed professionals. And with that, let's get into the show. You're listening to Season 4, Episode 7. Well, the holidays are coming fast, and that means the inevitable office holiday party. And as much fun as that sounds, these parties can be a minefield of potential liability for companies of all sizes, particularly if there is alcohol involved, and the party is not too well conceptualized ahead of time. But never fear, you really can throw a safe and memorably fun office party if you plan ahead and keep these tips in mind. First up, publicize the party rules well in advance. Make sure your team fully understands company policies on respectful communication and interactions, and have clear definitions on what constitutes harassment. You also need to be clear on enforcement. I suggest that a few days before the party, you send around a memo to remind everyone of the guardrails. And actually, it's not a bad idea to mention in your manager or leadership meeting that those in a leadership role are held to a higher standard, and you're counting on them to set the tone for appropriate behavior. Now, if you're going to have drinks, carefully consider drink tickets. That way you can more easily manage the amount of alcohol that's being served. And be sure to have a chat with the bartenders. Make sure they understand you have zero tolerance on over-serving. And that goes for people who show up with a couple under their belts already. Also, a pro tip here. California has specific rules around when and where you can serve alcohol, and if you need to have a license. Be sure to check the guidelines on the state's Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control before moving forward. And actually, just to be sure you're on the safe side, hire a catering company that has a license. Next, arrange for a ride service to give people a safe option on getting home. Now, my recommendation, and I admit this is a purely private recommendation, is to go with something like Alto versus Uber or Lyft. I like Alto because the drivers are employees, the cars are branded on the side, and it just feels like it provides a bit more certainty for the hiring company. But again, this is a purely personal and private recommendation. It could be Uber, Lyft, or a taxi service. Just make sure you have an option for people who may not be in a condition to drive. Next, think about limiting the time frame. We've all been there when the party just went on too long. It's the end of the night, people have been drinking, things are done and said that shouldn't have been done or said. It's just not a good look. So, think about limiting the festivities to no more than 3 hours. Some companies like to schedule the party for right after closing time to help prevent people from starting the party before the party. Now, you don't have to do all this yourself. Make more people responsible for safe behavior. Designate a few people, usually these are manager-level folks, to commit to not drinking and being aware of how things are going. If they see someone getting a bit too up close and personal with a colleague, walk over and join the conversation. If someone seems to be happier than everyone around them, engage them in conversation so you can be sure their joy is from the season and not the result of artificial methods. And finally, make sure someone from senior management stays at the event until the very end. Sometimes there's an idea that once the company leaders head home for the night, all bets are off and anything goes. That's a bad impression to have. Make sure someone in authority is around to help and guide if necessary, if anything goes amiss. And again, that's much easier to do if you limit the time of the event. And finally, remember to have fun. Now, you may be thinking, what, she's really saying have fun after she's given us this long list of to-dos? Well, yes, I am. That's because it's important that you make sure your team members are having a good time and that they're in a safe environment. And besides, I know you can do more than one thing at a time. So, enjoy the party, enjoy the holidays, and recharge for an exciting 2024. If you found this information helpful, please leave a review and tell a friend. Thanks for spending the time. Until next week, same time, same place.